on The Answer San Diego.
Welcome back to tonight's Andrea Kaye Show. 888-344-1170 if you got anything on your mind. I kind of got a question. I guess the question for the day for you guys is, how strong do you think President Trump's support still is? Because I was telling somebody before the show that reportedly 1 million people want to attend the Trump rally coming up. And then somebody said to me, oh, they think that number might be inflated. I don't think it's inflated at all. After people being shut in, locked down, seeing this country literally burned to the ground by rioters and protesters that the left is encouraging and enabling while continuing to keep businesses shut down and keeping people not allowed to go to their churches. I think that the transition back to greatness involves a pushback from some people. What do you think, Potato Skins?
I happen to think that he's exactly where he's at from 2016 and then some, because I think he's taken the people that were on the fence about him before and said, you know what? This guy stands up for what he believes in, no matter what. So I think he's actually in a stronger position than 4 years ago.
Well, we'll see if our next guest agrees. It's Rick Manning. He's president of Americans for Limited Government, and he's here to talk about the great socialist communist plan to defeat Trump. This is quite the plan, hijack neighborhoods, run around like a mob, extorting money out of them, burning down minority black-owned businesses, wanting to defund police. That's quite the sales pitch, Rick Manning. Welcome back to the Andrea Kaye Show.
Thanks for having me, Andrea. Yeah, it is. And, the fact is we've had three what they call Black Swan events in the last 6 months. And it's pretty astonishing that the president stands as strong as he does right now with the people, because when you look at the kind of economic dislocation caused by the Chinese-originated virus, and then on top of that, the riots that were really let's be honest, they were planned riots. They were waiting for something to riot about. So we've got I don't say that lightly, but just remember the people who were behind the violence never cared about the police reform issue. They cared about disrupting society. And
Yes.
That's what we're seeing more and more. We hear from them is the police reform issue is an excuse to reform, changing society and turning us into a communist-oriented environment is really what they're after. So he's faced three serious Black Swan events in 6 months, and they were because of a couple of things. A, they couldn't beat him with the economy that we had, so the economy had to flip. B, they had a big problem in the black community because President Trump has made dramatic inroads in the black community. So they had to turn this into a racist election in some way, shape, or form. And effectively, by creating the division they've created, they're at least causing people to have to drop sides. And so as a result, we're facing they've reshuffled the deck on the election, which is why I don't know what's going to happen in November. I just know if people look around and say, if you reward rioters, if you reward people who want to turn our country away from one where all men are created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, we want to turn away from that towards something where the government determines whatever you're going to get. Mm-hmm. If you want to change that, that's a problem, and we're going to have that very direct choice in November.
Well, we can see the effects of it right now because the third Black Swan, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, was the exploitation of the coronavirus. They knew from the jump that Fauci and Birx are no better than Lisa Page and Peter Strzok at the FBI. They went and lied to President Trump, used phony, trumped-up models to scare him to death into getting him to agree to a 15-day shutdown. And now we still got states, while states still haven't even officially reopened. And by the way, it's not a reopening when you have the kind of regulations, onerous regulations on businesses like masks and 6-foot distancing requirements that are not substantiated scientifically in any way. We're now got while the left is on the one hand, the mob is out there in the streets as a mob, not wearing masks and not 6-foot distancing. They're now threatening additional shutdowns because of supposed case increases. when the reality is I don't give a crap, and neither should anybody else, about what the number of cases are of people getting sick with coronavirus. It's like I had a doctor on my show once who said if 100% of Californians caught it, that would be fine because we might have herd immunity. The reality is it's not a death sentence. And it's a 99.5% recovery, but they're using this constant. Now they're beating the drum on case count, and we're going to have a second wave, and now we've got to shut down states again because what? Why? Trump's about to start rallies again.
Well, that's exactly. I think that's really, really right on. It's we're watching this blatant manipulation. But they're sitting there, and I use the left, the institutional left, is never lets the crisis go to waste, and so the outflow from the whole virus is our healthcare system. We're putting the private sector out of business because we won't let them do other kind of treatments, and the public sector is thriving. So consequently, you end up at the end of it with their goal, which is socialized medicine. Mm-hmm. On the legislative side, they then try to do surprise medical billing, which is one size fits all pricing under the guise of surprise medical billing, to create a crisis and then provide a solution that makes no sense, but it meets your ends. And that's how that's how they use this whole the whole medical crisis as a means to come out the back end with socialized medicine, which is an utter disaster. And we would have been in deep trouble in this country if throughout this whole, declared medical emergency, if we had not had the private sector stepping up to take the brunt of it rather than depending upon public sector hospitals.
Well, but right now though, the problem that we've got right now, in spite of the fact that the retail sales jump of 17.7% in the month of May may be exciting news when we have entire industries that have been shut down or being destroyed. We've got that will never come back. Approximately a quarter of all small businesses that were shut down during the coronavirus will never come back. We have had an enormous theft of our private sector, theft of private business, which is people's own property, just taken from them and then used for their income redistribution schemes. You're right. Create a crisis, and then you've got like Governor Newsom saying, you know what, I shut down all these restaurants, so they can't do anything anyway. So now I'm going to use these restaurants to do this meal service plan. Nobody can go to farmers market, so I'm going to take the produce from all these farms and I'm going to give it away to other people. So and he even admitted, Newsom even admitted that these programs were programs they have been wanting for years. They shut down the hospitality industry so that's where they could shove the homeless. So it is just blatant out there to the American people. And I don't understand how any American out there could be looking at the devastation that has gone on economically unnecessarily by the left and the way they seized this for the coronavirus and even think for a second about wanting to vote Democrat.
Well, one of the scary things is it was so accepted that a governor can effectively eliminate the free enterprise system with a wave of a magic wand. Didn't even have to go to the state legislature to do so. Just an edict by the all-powerful governor sets basically puts a monkey wrench in the entire free enterprise system, and everybody goes along with it, not caring at all. I mean, I fought a long time trying to get America reopened and have 3 months of trying to do that. And the single thing I heard nonstop for the first month and a half is, well, people losing their businesses is not as important as people, some people getting sick over here, and everybody's going to die. And I'm sitting there going, no, if we destroy the capitalist system, if we destroy property and their property rights, we let the government just destroy property rights, we've effectively enslaved ourselves to the government. And that's the recipe for lots of people dying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we gave up private property rights very rapidly under the guise of a disease based on fear, and we're going to have to regain the American mentality that people own property, government doesn't own property, because we gave that away.
Yeah, we absolutely gave it away. And we haven't had an opportunity to talk about how that all ties in with what's going on with this Black Lives Matter movement, because this Black Lives Matter movement is not about Black lives. It is about a communist Marxist movement to destroy the fabric of our society and usher in complete government control over our lives by minimizing and diminishing an entire, segment of the population under the guise of victimhood. And, we haven't, Trump is in a really delicate, difficult situation. I think he's done a really good job managing it. Even today, when he talked about it, here's some ideas on how we can do things better in the police departments. But, oh, by the way, our police are doing a good job, and it's only a small percentage of them, with any kind of issue. So he's not getting sucked into the narrative. But we've got Lindsey Graham from the Republican Party today saying every black person is scared and should basically, pushing forth the BLM, the Black Lives Matter false narrative. And 30 seconds, what should Trump do to push back against this mob?
Well, I think the most important thing he can do is to show a steady hand. I think he needs to be somebody who actually sits down with the beer thing that Obama had with the cop from Cambridge and the black professor. He needs to sit down with people and talk about real police issues. Nobody likes police violence and police brutality. We have to try to stomp that out as much as possible while keeping the basic freedoms and the law and order intact, because the black communities benefit from law and order every bit as much as white communities.
Well, Rick Manning, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Tell everybody quickly how they can find more information about your organization.
Go to getliberty.org, and click around, and you will find a letter that I signed with Ed Neese talking exactly about this Black Lives Matter issue.
Thank you so much. Take good care.
Thanks,
All right. Now, how we were stabbed in the back by SCOTUS. We're going to be talking about that when we come back from the break. More Andrea Kaye Show coming up.